Hello, my name is Kimberly Olson, and today I'm going to teach you about gluten-free living. If you haven't had a chance to check out my other videos, please do at FitKim TV on YouTube or go to my blog at fitkim.com. So I do a lot of public speaking, and one of the most common questions I get or requests for lecture topics is gluten-free. What is gluten? How do you incorporate a gluten-free lifestyle? Why would you want to? So I thought it would be great to share the information with you so you can decide for yourself if it's something you would like to try, or if you've been diagnosed with gluten intolerances or even celiac, then you're really going to want to take some notes and make sure that you incorporate some of this information. So I'll talk about what gluten is, and then we'll get into some examples of things that are gluten-free naturally, and also give you some other tips as well. So what is gluten? Well, gluten is the protein component found in wheat. So when you think of usually wheat is the most common. There's other things like rye and barley. The most common grain that we eat that has gluten in it is wheat. So I'll just focus on that. So when you think of wheat, in that wheat there's a protein component called gluten. Now, gluten is actually very hard for a lot of people's digestive systems to break down. It's very harsh on the digestive system, and right now as much as 90% of people who have gluten intolerances have not been diagnosed. And in the whole world, unfortunately, the United States is last as far as our medical doctors being savvy and up to speed. So often when people come in with complaints that are actually a symptom of a gluten intolerance, in America, it's really hard for that diagnosis to happen. So if we talk about some things and it raises a red flag, you can get a blood test done, which is most common, or you can actually even have a biopsy done of your colon or small intestine, which is obviously not ideal, but it depends on what your doctor would recommend. So definitely check with your doctor if you want to find out for yourself. But what I like to do with clients, instead of going to the doctor, is I have them completely remove gluten from their diet for 7 to 14 days, and then we see how they feel. And 90% of the time they feel so much better, even if they didn't think they had an issue with gluten, that they actually stay off of it. So that's why I don't eat gluten. I don't have any issues with it really, but based on what I've learned about it, I just don't want to put it in my body. So gluten, over time, probably I would say since the Industrial Revolution, we were trying as farmers in America, we were trying to produce as much wheat as we could. So what the scientists started doing is messing with the wheat until they could find strains that were producing a higher yield, they were maturing quicker. They started planting in Mexico where there's 2 growing seasons. And they were getting about 10 times the volume. However, when they introduced these new breeds into the food supply, they had never been tested on animals or humans. So there's your first red flag right there. But another thing is that these new breeds that they've made, they crossbreed different grasses and wheats. They call it hybridization, and what they found is up to 5% of the protein found in these wheats is not found in nature. So I believe that's a big reason why our bodies have a hard time with it, because it's just not something we're supposed to be ingesting. Also, if you've noticed, just the way we're bombarded with toxins and chemicals and the way our diets have really declined, our digestive systems are severely lacking as far as being able to break down nutrients and absorb them. So gluten can be really hard to break down. So what it is in your small intestine, on the wall of your small intestine, that's where you absorb your nutrients. Well, gluten actually damages the wall, the lining of your small intestine. So what I would recommend is, again, try it out, just eliminate it and see how you feel. So I want to give you tons of food options to help you get through the transition, because it can be a bit overwhelming. Right now, the average American consumes 20% of their daily calories have gluten in them. I mean, think about it. You wake up, you have your pancakes or your toast, you have your bagel, your English muffin, your granola bar. All of those things have gluten in them. What do we usually have for lunch? We have a sandwich or a burger. Rolls are really common at dinner time. It's just crazy. And it's also hidden in hundreds and hundreds of products. Things from salad dressing all the way to candy. I mean, it's crazy. Another thing, and I don't want to forget to mention it, it's often hidden in our skincare, in our makeup, in our shampoo and conditioner, all of that. So even if you eliminate it from your diet, remember, the skin is really important. I'm going to talk about makeup coming up here soon in another segment, but the skin, it absorbs everything. So if you're putting gluten products in your skin, then you could be absorbing it. So let's get to what you can do to get gluten out of your diet if you want to give it a try. First of all, go for foods that are naturally gluten-free. You know, you don't look on the back of an apple to see if it has gluten in it. It just is gluten-free. So fruits, vegetables, load up your diet. I mean, try as much as you can. Smoothies are great. All gluten-free options. Just load up your diet with those natural, really good, delicious things for you that are already gluten-free. Next, I want to give you all my grains that I have in my pantry that are naturally gluten-free. So what I like to do is, one of the hard transition things for people are pasta. So I have two different things here. These are kind of the curly noodles, and then I have more of like a spaghetti noodle. It's the same company. It's I can put it in the notes, but it's quinoa and corn. It's organic, and it's actually gluten-free. So it's a great way to make that transition with your family, because they might kind of scream if you try to do all of this at once. So you definitely want to have some other options. Next, and this is a really common food that people eat, are oats. Oats are naturally gluten-free, but they're often harvested near wheat fields or processed in a wheat facility. So as much as 30% of oats have been tested in to have gluten in them. So I get organic. Bob's Red Mill is my favorite brand, gluten-free. And another one that's commonly tested to have gluten in it, which it actually doesn't have gluten, but it's tested in to have it, is brown rice. So great option for a whole grain. I always like to prepare brown rice and some of these other grains in vegetable or chicken broth just to really add that flavor. And as a lot of you know, I'm a huge fan of quinoa. I love quinoa. Quinoa is a complete protein. It's actually not even a grain, even though it seems like it. It's a seed, and I think it's a super seed. I mean, it has more calcium in it than milk does, and it's just amazing. I have a bunch of recipes with quinoa in it. Great for putting on salads or as a side dish. Now this one, buckwheat, even though it's called buckwheat, it actually doesn't have any wheat in it. This is also a superfood. I'm serious. What I like to do is, if you do tabbouleh, that's my favorite recipe to do with it. You can use this instead of wheat, which is usually used in tabbouleh. Oh, the texture, and it just plumps up. It's amazing. Buckwheat flour is really common for baking. You can also use that as a substitute. Because think about it, when you're baking, you usually grab your whole wheat or your wheat flour. We're going to nix that. And then the last two I have are amaranth and millet. And these are grains you've probably heard of, but you didn't know how to cook them. Millet to me is kind of like couscous. So if you like couscous, which does have gluten in it, you could go for the millet and try that. And amaranth, great for baking. You can use it with cookies and just different baking recipes as well. So those are some different options. Again, watch your skincare products, watch your makeup if you're really going to go gluten-free. I am also just really recommending that you try to just eliminate it and see how you do with it. I have seen people that have had severe eczema and skin issues. I've seen their skin clear up in 7 days. I've seen people drop pounds. They have been trying to lose weight. They eliminated the gluten. They completely dropped the pounds. I've seen mood levels completely even out. And I've seen the foggy brain or the issues with the memory improve. So it's just awesome to see that if you could do something like gluten. Oh, and I have a lot of people at lectures. I haven't really worked myself with a lot of clients like this, but I've had a lot of people at lectures tell me that when their children are diagnosed with autism, I've seen it with ADD, that when they eliminate the casein and the gluten, they will begin, I mean, their speech will improve, their attention, their everything. It's awesome. So that's something to consider too. If your child has autism or ADD, you could definitely give it a shot. You know, it can't hurt. So as you can see, I think going gluten-free is the way to go. So just try it, consider it, you know, keep an open mind, or maybe cook more. Try some of these new grains that maybe you haven't used before. So if you're gluten-free, please post a comment, or if you have any questions on products that you have, if you want to know if they're gluten-free, post a comment. I can check it out for you, or maybe some cool recipes that you have. Please share that below. I would love that. Now, if you like this video, please subscribe at FitKim TV on YouTube. And also remember, go to my blog at FitKim.com. On the right sidebar, you're going to see a spot where you can sign up for my newsletter. I send it out once a month, and it's just loaded with great tips to keep you motivated and help you to continue to be healthy. So thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Have an awesome day, and we'll see you soon.